Hey everybody, it's Liz. Welcome to our June book club. Um, Go ahead and let me know you're here. And remember, when you comment tonight, comment with your name, or I cannot see who it is. And I'm going to somehow give you a link that just popped up on my screen for the very first time and said that if I give you this link, you can grant permission for me to see your name. So try clicking on that link in the comments and see if that works. It's the first time it's popped up for me. So let's see if it works. Okay, so first off, here's Silent Surrender in paperback. Isn't it beautiful? So for tonight's giveaway, we are going to do a giveaway for Silent Surrender. So if you'll comment with a number between 1 and 100, the person closest without going over will win a signed copy of Silent Surrender. And there's my phone. So just ignore it. You're not hearing my phone ring. And I'm not getting up and going to go answer it. And obviously my husband isn't either. So we'll just listen to the phone ring for a little while. So go ahead and comment with a number between 1 and 100. We'll wait for it to stop ringing. You know, all these months and we've never had that happen before. So go ahead and comment with your name and let me know. Let me know that you are here. We have a couple people trying to get in that are emailing me and saying they can't get in. Refresh your screen if you can, because we need to get started here. Trying to get a link to send, and I'm hoping that this is going to work. If you're having trouble getting into it, if that works. Okay. So, hey Marisol, just go ahead and comment with a number between 1 and 100 for a chance at Silent Surrender. So we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. I'm going to bring up our featured author, who I am just so excited to talk with, and it's the incredible Julie or JA Julie Huss. Just a minute, and she'll be there. You are, Julie. Yay! So, do we call you Julie or JA? And hang on, if I unmute you, we can actually hear you.
Oh yeah, you can call me either one. It doesn't matter.
Okay, what's the A for?
Anne, that's my middle name.
Julie Ann. Okay. Well,
because
welcome.
I actually use my real name, which I'm probably almost nobody does, but I didn't know any better. So,
Well, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
thank you for having me.
We have just been so excited about you coming. I really and truly want to ask you. I have read the whole Bossy series, and I so want to ask you questions about the books towards the end, but I will refrain because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But I really do want to know. I'm not going to ask. We'll stick with Jesse for
Okay.
tonight. So before we get into question, tell us a little bit about you, that how you got into writing, and just a little bit of your history.
Well, I actually went to school to be I was going to be a veterinarian. Um, and so I majored in equine science, animal science. And then when it came time to go to vet school, I decided to go to grad school instead and like to be a scientist. and
Wow.
um and then
Now that's a how in the world did you get from a scientist to a romance author?
well, I'll tell you. So I was in a PhD program and I hated it. So after about a year and a half, I quit my PhD and I just got a master's. And at the time, I was homeschooling my kids, mostly my youngest son, because my kids homeschooled. My youngest son homeschooled all the way through school. So I decided to write science curriculum for him, and then I decided to sell it. And so how I started writing is that in like 2006 or 7, I think, I started writing science books for kids and science courses for kids. So I did that for about 4 years, maybe. Um, and I was pretty successful at it. Like I sold a bunch. And then I decided I was going to write fiction. And so I wrote a science fiction first, and I published that in those 3 books in 2012. And so I never really went to work as a scientist. I was in the animal sciences for the state of Colorado for a while, um, with hog farms. Like it's a really weird job. But I was like a hog farm inspector. So I never really used it for anything other than writing books, which is ridiculous. But that's how it happened.
You really went a long way around to get to.
Yeah, it really was. I had never had any intention. If you read some of my bios, they say, JA Huss never wanted to be a writer, and that's true. And that I never had a dream to be a writer. Um, I just had one science fiction story in my head, around 2011 when I started thinking about that, and then from there it just went crazy. 2013 was just nuts, and everything just went crazy after that. So yeah, it was weird. It was a weird ride.
So you started with science fiction, and then you
Yes.
went over to romance.
Yes, and new adult was just taking off in 2012, 2013. It's very, very popular. And my science fiction was kind of new adult, but there was really no audience for it. So I didn't know anything about genres. I didn't even know what a genre was. I was just writing my story. And so in 2013, I was like, well, I mean, it's a good story, but, I would like to make some money. I would like people to buy the book, right? And so how do I do that? And so I thought, well, I'll write a new adult romance instead. And so then I wrote Rick and Ronan. And that was really where everything just kind of took off. It just kind of took off. Yeah.
That was the first book that I read of yours was Rick and Roman, and it was. Well, tell us a little bit about the series.
Well, it's about a group of guys who are friends, who have a sketchy past and got in trouble several years before. This girl called Rook shows up in Ronan's life, and she's running from something bad as well. And that secret doesn't even really get fully revealed until like book 5, I think.
I know.
Um, because it gets every book gets progressively worse. They're like, oh, you're like, there's a little bit more to her story. And then finally at the end, there's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? She was involved in all kinds of shit. So it's a lot of suspense. It's a lot of friends to lovers. It's a lot of just really a lot of angsty new adult stuff because it was all new adult, so angsty
It
stuff.
was, yeah, it's a very emotional read.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. She goes through a lot. So she's got a lot of tragic things in her past. And that's why the first book is called Tragic, because she's taking a job as a model for an erotic modeling session called Tragic. And the photographer's like, this girl is tragic. And so that's how her whole life changes after that. And then it's a weird, bizarre trip she gets on with these three guys. Who are friends. It's not a menage, in case anyone's wondering. It's not a menage or a reverse harem or anything. It's just.
So tell us about your new covers.
The new cover for Rick and Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I'm just gonna be honest. Like the old cover, just I couldn't get a book bub with it. Like book bubs, like that book is old. We need something fresh, and so I had to make new covers, and it worked because they just had a book bub like a couple weeks ago. So, um, yeah, that's why I changed the covers. But I like the covers. I like the colors on the new covers.
They pop. They really
Yeah,
do.
they do. Yeah.
I like the old covers. I think that's because that's when I read it. And then you have how many books are in that series? 9.
In Rick and Ronan, it's 9 now because I condensed some of them into like omnibus editions, so it's 9 total. And it goes through a spin-off series, and then a couple of standalones, and so it ends up at about 9.
And then the Original Sin series.
Original Sin
Just a little
is
bit.
the series that I wrote with Jonathan McLean, who's an actor and audiobook narrator. So he and I are good friends, and so we wrote some books together. And so that's the Original Sin is our first series together. So that was pretty interesting.
And the Misters. I've read all the Misters.
The Misters. So the Misters are a kind of a spin-off of Rick and Ronan, because it just kind of does spin off of Rick and Ronan. So when people start reading that series and they want more, they can jump into a new timeline with other characters and old characters and just keep going with the story. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But it's also a standalone.
And
so
then,
if you didn't want to read, the Rick and Ronan series, you didn't have to. You could just read the Misters.
but you really need to read the Rick and Ronan. You won't be disappointed if you read it. If you like emotional, heart wrenching, cheering, good. That's Rick and Ronan. Okay, tell us about the Creeping Beautiful. That's
Creeping
your newest
Beautiful
series?
That's my newest series that's only releasing wide. So a lot of these books are in KU. Rick and Ronan isn't the Rick and Ronan series isn't in KU right now because I took it out. But the Bossy series and lots of other books are in KU. But my new release, Creeping Beautiful series, is not in KU. So it's a wide release. So I wanted to keep my wide friends, happy. I wanted them to make sure they know that I still love them and I'm not going to abandon them for KU. And so that is kind of why I'm only releasing that series wide. And it won't be in KU, and maybe one day, but not while it's releasing. So it's a really twisted, long psychological thriller, with some sexy romance thrown in. But really, I wrote that book for me. It's very complicated storyline with really deep characters and lots of twists and turns and like mind fuck going on. So I wrote that for me and like the hardcore fans. And you can, and it goes back to the Rick and Ronan world as well. It's like
Oh,
way in the future, but it tells an alternate storyline for some of the things that happened in the later books in that Rick and Ronan series. So you get a different point of view of all the big things that were happening in the company books. It's a company book. If people read me and they know what the company is, the Creeping Beautiful is a company book.
well, I have saved those books to read at the beach in a few weeks. So I have not read those yet. So they are coming. And then the Bossy Brothers, we've read the first one, but tell us how how many are in the series? Where does it go?
So the Bossy Brothers are also kind of a spinoff of Rick and Ronan Company books and Creeping Beautiful. So some of the things that are happening in the Bossy books are also happening in the Creeping Beautiful books. But the Bossy books are all releasing into KU. So it's a KU series. So it's not as complicated. It is complicated because I always write complicated, but it's not as complicated, and it's got a lot more sex in it. And it's just a little lighter in a lot of the books. Not all of them are light and funny, but most of Jessie is pretty light and funny book. It's a pretty funny book. Um, and then it gets a little bit darker. With each book, I think they start out light and funny, and then they end up a little bit dark, and then I think that's how they go, pretty much.
So
And
with the covers, why does the color change from gold to blue? And I know that's a weird question, but
yeah, so I have the cover right here. So the Bossy Brothers is gold. It
uh-huh.
has gold letters because it's got a set of brothers that they're in the three books. Jesse, Johnny, and Joey are the three Boston brothers. And then after the Boston brothers, I'm done with them for a while. Then they go to blue, where they have blue covers.
And
Um,
now, how do Alonzo and Tony?
and the blue covers are another family called the Dumas brothers, and
Yeah,
that relates back to who Jesse's
yeah,
girlfriend in his book is Emma Dumas, and so those are her brothers. So
the
her
crazy
brothers
one.
and his brothers, it's like a big giant story about these two families, and they're both doing kind of like dark things behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and so their worlds kind of collide as you move through the series, and it gets kind of fun.
Okay, let's get to some questions now from. Oh, we're gonna run out of time. Um, Marisol wants to know from your EOB end of book. I'm just going to say that's what she means. From your end of book, I saw you read reviews from other books. Do you read the reviews for your books?
Do I read my own reviews? Oh, because then Jesse's end of book shit is like a really long rant about asshole reviewers. It wasn't about my book. It was about another author who has been around just as long as I have, and was releasing a book just before I released Bossy Jessie. She released her book, and she's very popular, right? She's like a big deal, and she's got a loyal fan base and everything. But this reviewer showed up on her release day, just randomized 1-star nasty review on her release day, and it's like I just couldn't take it anymore. It's like, why do you got to be an asshole? If you don't like dark romance, don't read dark romance. It says right there in the description she's writing dark romance. So if it's too dark for you, don't pick it up. And so I wrote a really long rant about that in the Bossy Jessie end of book shit. But no, I don't really read. You and I just talked about this before we came live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really read my reviews unless it's from my ARC team and they post links in our private group. Then I'll go check them out. because they want me to read them, but I don't usually read reviews.
Those are the feel-good reviews. Marisol asked, was the mean girl mentality truly what inspired this story?
What? Say it again.
I'm not exactly sure what was the mean girl mentality. Was the mean girl mentality truly what inspired this story?
I don't know what that T word is. What is it?
Mentality. Is it my
Mentality?
accent?
I don't know. Mentality.
No. Um, uh, what inspired the series?
What? I'm
I'll ask
sorry, I
it that
can't
way.
hear. Can you talk
What
just a little bit louder?
inspired the series?
What inspired the Bossy Brothers series?
Yes.
Okay. What inspired? Let's see. I think I just wanted to write a reverse billionaire. I wanted to write a reverse billionaire romance because Emma Dumas is a self-made billionaire woman, and she doesn't need a billionaire. She's her own billionaire. So I wanted to write one of those, and I wanted to make it about brothers, and so I made it about. I kind of like the second chance romances. I kind of write a lot of those, but I wanted to have a little twist on it, and that he ditched her once when they were young. That's many years later now. Um, and she never got over it. So the whole book starts in the beginning that she's enacting a revenge plan to get back at him for that, because now she's rich and powerful and she could do anything she wants. And she's choosing to be petty and small and like do this revenge
And
plan.
kidnap him.
And the whole thing
So,
backfires.
what was their plan to kidnap him?
I think
What were they
they
gonna
just
do
wanted
with
to
him?
like humiliate him, right? Just like, throw
They
their
were just
weight
gonna leave him
around. And
tied up in the basement.
yeah, I think they wanted to like just make him suffer for a little bit, because the other girls were like, "No, no, we're leaving him," and she's like, "No, I gotta go untie him. Like this is wrong." Because he made a good case for himself in the tied up part, right? He's
Yeah,
like, if a man did this to a woman, like that wouldn't fly. Like you can't just go kidnap men and tie them up and leave them,
right.
like. And so she had second thoughts. She was like, yeah, he's kind of right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah. But she wasn't done getting her revenge. So they played that through for a little bit longer.
yeah, yeah. And I love how Jessie loves the um, Saturday night dinners with her parents.
Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't have a family like that. He comes from a very strange, non-traditional family, and she comes from a very traditional family. And so he's kind of in love with everything about her because it's so normal and he's so not normal. But then you find out later that their family isn't normal either. So
You mentioned you are kind of picky, and like a very particular type of book. Could you elaborate on what type of book you like?
I am picky, as I told you before the call, before we came live. I don't read romance. I do read some
Which I
romance, but
find hard to believe.
I do read some romance. I read young adult romance, and it's usually young adult sci-fi romance because I really like sci-fi. So I do like the romance in it. I just don't don't care for all the sex scenes in the regular romance. So I like the young adult. I like a little bit more innocent book, and it could be dark. That's fine, but I like the younger characters for some reason. So mostly I either read really weird, hard science fiction or young adult science fiction. And of course, that's because I'm a science freak, right? Like, um, I'm a science freak. That's what I like to read.
My daughter would get on well. She's a science freak as well. She's watching this. She's probably saying, "Mother," but she is. She knows she is. She owns it. You mentioned that the book just came out and that you didn't know that was going to happen. Besides the kidnapping, what part of the book surprised you the most?
In Bossy Jessie,
Yes.
um, I think the thing that surprised. Well, okay, I'll just say when I wrote the book, I had no idea it was going to start out with the whole setup was basically came out of the first chapter. I don't even remember what I sat down to write for the first chapter, but it wasn't what came out. So what came out in that first chapter, I was like, oh, this is not what I planned at all. And so everything changed after that because the first chapter sets up her background and her money and all that stuff and her plan. So yeah, it kind of just came out like that. So I think I was surprised by all of it, but I really like the reverse date, right? The reverse dream
Mm-hmm.
date because you think of the dream date, you think of 50 Shades, and you go up in the
Right.
helicopter, the glider, like the man's got all the stuff. Well, she wanted to show him up, and she wanted to be the billionaire on the billionaire date, and so she takes him on her version of the billionaire date. So I thought that was pretty fun.
And she bought a $250,000 car.
Yeah, she bought a car just to show him up and had it delivered
Um,
because she's so wealthy. She's like, I don't need you. I don't need you.
Bright Beach Cosmetics must be doing
Yes.
really well.
Yes.
Um, well, I guess we know what's your favorite trope to write.
My favorite trope is, I think enemies to lovers. I think enemies to lovers. Yeah. I like that one because there's a lot of tension in it. Yeah, I think that's my favorite. And it can go many different ways.
Yeah. My favorite is Secret Baby. Everybody knows
Secret
that.
baby.
And it's like,
I've done only a couple secret babies. Only a couple secret babies. So I don't do
yeah,
those a lot.
you have to work them just right because there has to be a really good reason that they're
Yeah.
secret that you can buy into. Okay. When will we find out what happened to Zach's fortune?
To Zach's fortune. You're gonna find out in the Luke book. So there's two more Bossy books left, Luke and Zach. And so Luke is a Dumas brother and Zach is a Boston brother, and they're kind of together. So in Luke's book, we're gonna tie up all the mysteries. And then the last book is going to be like a happily ever after book for Zach.
I really want to ask you about, but I'm not going to, about um, the whole money thing, but I'm not going to ask you. Okay. I love the Boston Brothers and can't wait to read the others in the series. You'll love the others in the series. Are we going to find out what the family business really is?
Yes, for sure. Yes. And then if you want, it's not going to be a real heavy reveal because it's a little bit lighter series. But if you want to know all the dirty details of that's Creeping Beautiful. So there,
Really?
yes, the Creeping Beautiful has all the dark details.
That's what
Yeah.
I want. I can't wait to read it now. It's up. You shouldn't have told me that because it's on my iPad. But I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna read it till I get to the beach.
So the
Um,
Boston Brothers will have it will tie up all the loose ends, but all the dark details are really in the Creeping Beautiful series.
Good to know. See, I should have started it already, shouldn't I? That's probably going to answer the question that I wish I could ask you now.
I don't know if you're asking about the money. I don't think I've answered that yet, but I will.
Okay. Okay. I just know there has to be a purpose. Okay. Oh, let's see. Is that going to have a book?
Yes.
When will Zach have a book?
Zach, God, I'm writing so many books right now. I think I'm gonna write Bossy Luke soon. I'm gonna start it in a couple of weeks. So that one's gonna come out, I don't know, maybe September. And then somewhere in there I'll write Luke. So, yeah, Luke will come out first. I'm sorry if I messed that up. Luke will come out first, and then Zach will come out last. So I would say Zach would probably be around Christmas, kind of like Bossy Bride was.
Yeah. That was, let's see. What is your favorite type of book to write? Romance, sci-fi, or paranormal?
Um, I mean, I like all of them. I like when I can combine, sci-fi and romance. That was fun. I did some of that last year. I have a series of sci-fi romance. So I like all three. I haven't done any paranormal, really. Not any real paranormal, but I do have a really good idea for one that I'm dying to write. I hope I can find some time this year. I said that last year too. Hope I can find some time this year. So we'll see. But I like all of it. I don't think I would ever want to stop like writing romance. I just like to write twisted stuff. Like I like to make it into a thriller. Not everybody likes that in their romance, so I get it. But I kind of do. It's kind of what drives me is the mystery part,
So,
fitting all those pieces together.
so we talked a little bit about your writing process. Can you talk to us a little bit about what is your process for writing?
Well, I would say most of the time, a lot of it happens in my head. Like right now, I'm gonna start a book. I think next month. I think I'll get to it next month. And so I've been thinking about this book for about 2 months now. And so every day I'll have, I don't know, 30 minutes of thoughts about this book. And I'll think, oh, where do I want him to do? Where do I want them to be? What do I want the conflict to be? And I'll write some of it down sometimes, but mostly I just think about it, so that by the time I go to write it, I've thought about it. I've made a decision on who this person is, who this guy is, who this girl is, and what their problem is, and usually how it ends. And then I just sit down and start writing. I just sit down and start writing, and I usually don't start with much more than that. Sometimes I don't even know their names. Oh, that was Bossy Jessie. Like I didn't have a name for that girl. Or
Really?
Emma. No,
Uh-huh.
on chapter 1, I was like, okay, what's her name? I don't know. Let's call her Emma. Because I can't. Because I have to be careful. Because I have so many books. I try not to repeat a name, and I actually have done that, where I've accidentally repeated a name. So names, yeah, those come later.
My uh, my group helps me with a lot of my names. Thank you very much, group. um, Mama Boston, is she really gone? Is she really dead,
Uh,
or is she just gone?
the mother Boston, the mother Boston. Well, I
Jesse's
revealed
mom?
that, huh?
Yeah, Jesse's mom.
Yeah, I revealed that something about that in Bossy Johnny, so I don't know how much I should say.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But you'll find out more information the
Yes.
more that you get into the series. Um, let's see, how did you come up for this story idea? For the idea for the story, we've kind of talked about that. Do you plot your stories, or do you let your characters take you for the ride?
I mean, I I definitely make all the decisions, right? Like my characters aren't doing wild things because they everything has to make sense. And I've painted myself in corners before, and I don't like it. It's not fun, right? When you get to the
Because then
end
you
and you're
have
like,
to delete,
"Hey, this
delete,
is a
delete.
mess. This doesn't make any sense." I try not to do that. So no, I call all the shots.
Okay, somebody says at the end of Jesse's book, it said we can read the wedding book before the other brothers. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep, you can. You can. There's nothing in the wedding book that will spoil really the other two brother books. It's just a fun fluff read. There's no mystery in that one at all. I mean, just maybe a little bit, but it's not tied up or related to the big mystery in the other books.
Kat said she's very happy that Zach is getting a book. And Deb would like to know how did you come up with 321? We haven't talked about that book.
321. I wrote about that in the EOB. Yeah, so I was watching porn one day, and it's a whole long story. You have to read the
I'm not
EOBS for
touching
that
that.
one.
I'm not touching it.
Yeah, you got to read the EOBS for that one because the whole story's in there.
The comment says the Misters was really good. A lot of people have read 321. Somebody says, hope you get better soon. Don't know.
Because my
Not feeling
leg.
well. I don't know. Someone knows you're not feeling well. Oh, wait. They're talking about someone else. Sorry. On the
Oh,
feed. I got in the middle of someone else's conversation. Um, okay. Pat says she's already bought the wedding book.
okay.
You'll enjoy that.
She can read it.
Where
She
is
won't get
one
any
place you would like
spoilers. It should be fine.
where is one place you've always wanted to travel but you haven't? Do you travel? Are you a traveler?
I really actually kind of hate travel. Um, I'm not really into it, and I've been quite a lot of places. But if I would like to go. I guess if I could only go one more place, I would probably either go to Iceland or Australia, maybe with a stop in Fiji. But I'm not really a traveler.
New
I
Zealand would
don't
be
I don't
good
really
too.
like to travel. Yeah.
I don't either. I'm afraid the plane will crash, so I don't do travel.
I'm not afraid.
How do
I
you
just
decide?
hate being away from home.
Yeah. How do you decide your character names and your settings for your books?
Names. I used to spend a lot of time on it back in the early days. I put a lot of thought into it, and now I just pick something I've never used before. Um, and I like it. I have to like it. And then settings, I put a lot of thought into settings because I think settings are really important. So A lot of my books are set in either Colorado or there's some in California, or Florida or the Caribbean is usually where mine. Although Caribbean Beautiful is in Louisiana, that was new for me. But most of my settings are places that I've been or I know. They're usually based off of that. That's why I write about Colorado so much, because I've been here for like 23 years.
Does it really snow all the time in Colorado? I mean,
No,
that's just in my mind.
no,
And
no,
John Denver
no.
was from Colorado.
We have more sun. We have 300 days of sun a year in Colorado. And even though we do have very cold temperatures in the winter at times, and we can have a lot of snowfall, it always melts between snowfalls. And we could have 70-degree days in February. So no, Colorado is
Wow.
perfect.
Wow. Um, you just, I've only seen it, in books or pictures or on TV. So to me, it just seems like it's always snowing.
Although we did have snow just a few weeks ago at my house. So it does. I mean, it does, but it lasts for 2 hours and then it's gone. That's how, unless you're way up in the mountains, like on the ski resorts, like it snows there all year long. You don't want to live up there. For one, it's too expensive. And for two, there's, you get stuck up there. Like, it's not safe up there. It's not somewhere you live. It's somewhere you visit, right?
uh, let's see. Marisol wants to know, what was your funniest part about writing this book and the hardest?
The funniest part about Jessie, I think, was when she bought the car. Um, when she bought the car to go on the date, because they were just playing off each other, and she was trying to one up him so bad, and he was having fun. So I really liked that. And I like the part in the beginning where she tells him, she just gets real sassy and leaves him hanging, in the beginning of the book. So I really thought that was fun. And the hardest part, I don't know that there was anything really hard about that book. Book ones are usually easy to write, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could put anything you want in book one.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing book 7. Yeah, that book is going to be. I'm not looking forward to it,
How
because
do you
there's
keep
all
it all
these.
straight? How do you keep
Huh?
all of yours? How do you keep it
Right.
all
You have
straight?
to, like, I have to go back and read them or listen to them. Or sometimes I'll go into my art group, and the girls have a running list of things they have questions about, right? After each book, they'll put, I still have questions about this, which I love, because then when it comes time to write the next book, I'm like, oh, let's see what her questions were so I can make sure to answer them. So yeah, book 1 is never hard. Book 7 is always hard.
Um, well, here's a question. What are some of your one-click authors? But since you don't read,
Well, I do. I read audiobooks. Um, I mean, it's usually a young adult title. I mean, I don't know if, and I don't know that I have any one clickers. I'm pretty picky. I'm pretty picky about the book, and then I'm pretty picky about the narrator too. So, these authors that I will read and listen to, they got to hit it both ways. Or I don't, but I do try a lot. I'll one click a whole bunch of random people, but I don't usually finish them. It takes a lot to get me to finish a book. um I don't know, I have very high expectations, although I
yeah.
do enjoy, it's funny because I say I only read young adult science fiction, but that's not true. I do like some women's thrillers. Have you heard, like, Girl on the Train and stuff like that?
Uh-huh.
Gone
Uh-huh.
Girl, stuff like that. I do read quite a bit of those, because they often have very good narrators. Um, yeah, and so I'll pick them up. So I did just finish one called Valentine that I really liked. It's women's fiction, like a women's fiction mystery. Um, So yeah, really random. But I am kind of into those women's thrillers now.
Um, do you have a favorite book of all times?
Favorite book of all time is science fiction. It's Altered Carbon. It's a series on Netflix now. They made a Netflix series about it called Altered Carbon. So I love that one. And then the young adult one is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. That was just an excellent audiobook. So I felt, and that's how I met Jonathan McLean, who's my writing partner for the original Sin series, because he's a narrator. He's one of the major narrators in that book, and I just fell in love with it, and that's how he started narrating books for me. So that was really long, circular way to
I
meet
was
him.
just thinking, have you ever been approached with Rook and Ronan for a TV series? Wouldn't that
No.
make a good series?
I mean, I think it would, but don't
That
get me
would make
started
it
on Hollywood.
awesome.
Like Hollywood is just
Netflix, I mean,
impossible to work with because everything is so slow there. Now it's all shut down, so it's hard.
hard everywhere. Um, did you edit anything out of this book? Did you have any outtakes?
For Jesse?
Jesse.
No, I rarely edit things out. Rarely. Sometimes I'll restart a book. Sometimes several times, but it's not the same as editing out because I will literally just start the whole thing over. And that didn't happen with Jesse. So no, I didn't really cut anything out of Jesse.
What do you hope your readers take away from Jesse?
I hope they have a good time with him. I hope they sympathize with him, even though he's a spoiled, rich, bratty guy. Um, I kind of do that a lot with the rich guys in my books, because being rich isn't all that fun. I mean, everybody thinks that, wow, if I only had money, everybody thinks that. And I'll just say money, when you have it doesn't mean anything. Um,
I'd
very
like to
few
try
people.
sometime, but
Yeah, it's nice to finally have it when you don't have it, right? Because I used to be so poor, so like I can't even explain how poor I was. And then all of a sudden, I had some success, but that money didn't make me happy. So I relate to that a little bit, and so I kind of feel for those billionaires where they should be happy. They feel like they should be happy, right? They feel like they've been given everything, and so to even to even consider the fact that they're unhappy is unfair, right? Because they're privileged, but that's not fair, I don't think, because every person's happiness is unique. And some people probably would enjoy being a billionaire, and that would be enough for them. But I would say most people wouldn't. Like, that wouldn't be enough. If they didn't have love, like, what is the point? If you don't have people that you can spend your life with, then the money doesn't mean anything. And so that's where Jesse was. And so that was my take home point about Jesse, is that he's a guy with everything who has nothing, you know, until he finds Emma.
he was on his way to redemption by himself, I think.
Yeah.
He had he had already started, cleaning his act up.
Yes, he started cleaning up his act,
Yeah.
because I don't like those books where the girl changes the guy, right? Like something you got to do on your own. So he had already done it, and he wasn't seeing any reward. Like nobody's opinion of him changed, and so I felt for the guy. I kind of felt for Jesse, and he's the comic relief through the whole series. The other brothers are much more serious, all of them. And he's always the lighthearted one. And I just think that's awesome that, he found a way to be happy, even though all these terrible things are happening all around him. And he doesn't dwell on it like the other brothers do.
Or are you in the process of reading something now?
I actually just spent a week listening to my own audiobooks, which I don't usually do, because I'm releasing an audiobook that's not through my publisher next month, so I had to do more legwork on it than usually. But I did just no, I'm not really reading. I'm kind of started a book called Serpent and Bone. It's a young adult kind of paranormally book. But I've already read it, so I was just restarting it again because I liked the male narrator. I like the way his voice is, so I was like, I'll listen to that again.
So we have just a few minutes left. Tell us what's coming down the road for JA Huss. What do we need to be
Well,
looking
I'm
for?
gonna wrap up this Bossy series with those final two books. I'm gonna wrap up the science fiction romance series. The Harem Station series has one more book. And then I have a new duet releasing on August 5th. The first one's called Bully King. That's the bully book. Um, so Bully King releases on August 5th, and that's the narration that I spent the last few days listening to, because the audiobook will release with the ebook. So I'm excited about that. And then I have a bunch of and that's a KU book, so that'll release it's straight into KU. And then I have some other standalone books coming up in the fall as well. And plus, I have like 5 things going on right now, so
I don't see how you keep it all straight. I really don't.
I have a little bit of everything coming out.
I don't see how you keep it straight. So you said a bully book, right?
Yeah.
That's a new genre to me.
I think it's been around for maybe a year or two, but it's really catching fire recently. So I tried my hand at a bully book, and I think it went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I hope my bully is bully enough. We'll see. But
But you actually mean there's bullying going on in the book.
yes, it's a bully book is about bullying. So weird, right?
Well, I can't wait to read it. I'm sure it will be wonderful. But I do want to thank you for being here with us tonight. We have so enjoyed it, and I love talking with you. I've admired your books for so long, so getting to talk to you was just it was very special to me. So I thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. It was my pleasure to have this conversation with you guys.
Well, I hope maybe you'll come back sometime because we're
Yeah.
real nice here.
Yeah, you are. Yes. Thank you guys, all of you.
But you have a wonderful evening and get busy writing because we're waiting for
Okay.
Zach.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Okay. Wasn't she wonderful? Um, just a couple of things. Remember to comment with a number between 1 and 100, and I will pick a winner. You know what? I'm not seeing very many numbers, so I'm going to wait until tomorrow to pick a winner. So if you want to go ahead and comment with a number between 1 and 100 for a chance at silent surrender. And next, let me tell you who next month is going to be. Next month, for July, we are going to have Melanie Shawn as our featured author. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you what book is going to be our book because I have not heard back from them to let you know. But as soon as I hear, I'll post it. And if you don't know Melanie Shawn, it's a sister writing team, Melanie and Shauna, and they make up Melanie Shawn. So look up their books if you haven't, and I'll announce what our featured book for July is as soon as I find out. Okay? That's it for me tonight. Thanks, guys, for being here. We'll chat later. Bye-bye.